Namaskaram and welcome to Lavanya Prasad ji. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation, and we are looking forward to hearing about your storytelling, music, and dance journey.
Namaste, Namaste Aparnaji. I'm very, very honored to be interviewed by a platform like Indica. My deepest gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. We were just talking, and you said, this is the month of Margari. So, what does that mean to you as an artist in different art forms, music, especially, but also dance and storytelling?
Right. So, Margari was always fun for me in childhood because early rising. So, Amma never let us sleep beyond 5 o'clock. And the first thing that she used to do was to put columns outside the house. Right. So, that used to be fun. Every day, it used to be a different column and very big column. And uh, we used to go to my, I'm from Coimbatore. So, a little far away from Coimbatore is Perur, which is where my Periappas and Tata and all stayed. So every Margari, we used to have Veedi bhajans happening. So it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. It starts on the month of Margari, and I don't know how I used to wake up. I mean, if I tell this to my children now, they are like, "How did you even wake up in this cold?" So, but that's what happened. I mean, we just used to get up. We used to quickly take bath, and we'll run to the temple, and people will be going around singing bhajans, and after we sing bhajans and we come, prasadam will be served. I mean, that was definitely a highlight for us then as children. So we'll have hot tair sadam, I mean curd rice, and hot vade and hot pongal, which was served to us. More than anything, it was, going as a group and singing bhajans and dancing, and every house they'll stop you, and the the person who's singing bhajans, the ladies will come out and they'll take arati and all that. It's so fresh in my memory. So I love columns because once I got into this profession, I mean, storytelling profession, I was doing a lot about folk arts and, oral traditions and folk arts from India. And I start to dig more about kolam. I mean, as of a child, I know how kolam is very important and how we used to put it with arisimav. I mean, rice flour to, welcome sparrows and ants to eat. And that's all I knew. And we used to have ma kolam for festivals. That was what I have seen. But digging deeper, I thought how beautiful it is. I mean, it involves meditation. It is morning meditation to you, and it teaches the very, very important lesson in life. Nothing is permanent. So, because every time when I started learning columns and I used to decorate my house, once we were a little older children, Amma used to delegate it to us. So, velila poi kolam potutu va. So that is what used to happen. And we used to take so much patience work, and there'll always be competition to see which column is better. We'll just do a peeping to the next house and so, Nikki, 7 yeah, I'm going to do this Nelly column, and all that will happen. And we used to do all that, and Yarad on the scooter. I'm just switching to Tamil, sorry.
Yeah.
So they
No,
will
please,
just come
please.
in.
You sound so much more, Indian and South Indian especially, and you
Yeah.
can very well speak in Tamil.
So somebody would come, the milkman will come and put his scooter on top of it, or they'll just walk over, and I'll be so irritated. I'm like, how much time I'm just spending to just do this column, and people can't you just see when you're walking? So my tata used to just laugh. He used to laugh and say that that is the purpose of column itself, and I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
So once I started exploring kolam as a folk art, it's literally something that has been passed on to you from your ancestors. It's like an oral tradition that has been given to you. I mean, they give it to you, you make it alive and
Correct.
live to the next generation. So then I saw that it teaches the most important thing, like nothing is permanent in life. You put a column in 5 minutes, either the wind takes it away, or there is rain, or somebody walks over it. A simple, humble, literally grounded column teaches you the philosophy of life. So how beautiful is this culture? So when I'm today doing columns outside the house, that's what I tell my children. This is what it is. I mean, they'll say, Amma, sorry, Amma, Teriyama, I just stepped on you. I said, it's
Hmm.
okay, but that is what life is.
Yeah.
So, Margari was kolams, Margari was bhajans, Margari was pasurams. Margari, I used to dance also. I learned Bharatanatyam. So we used to do a lot of
Hmm.
andal, dance and all that. So my teacher used to do andal pasurams during Margari. She used to take any one of the pasuram and just, teach us.
Hmm.
And during those times, we used to listen to stories of andal or other alvars and so stories, bhajans, pokat, pongal, taitsadam, vade. It was colorful. So I love Margari for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my experience was in Banaswadi in Bangalore, where the Shringeri Samskrita Sabha, Srinivasan
Mm.
sir still does it today, 15 days. And the incentive to the children was the children who did not miss a single day would get a silver Sharda coin from Shringeri Matham.
Ah,
So there was always
okay.
competition for that too. So
How
yes,
nice. How
definitely,
nice.
it's yeah, it's
And
in a
it
very
was also
cosmopolitan part of Bangalore.
right, right.
Mm.
It was also music and dance. I mean, Margari Maga Utsavam, that, it happened, of course, in Chennai, was very popular for it.
Mm.
But we did have, in the place that I grew up, there'll be small, small
Mm.
sabas where they did music and dance, and art was flourishing during Margari, is what I would say. Very true. Banaswadi, is it?
Um,
I would love to go and see that.
yeah,
In
just near the
Sringeri
water
Math,
tank. Yeah, it's called the
Sringeri Math.
Shringeri Sanskrit Sabha, Sanskrit Bharati, and they
Okay.
have 15 days. They have concerts in the evening with all same artists that
Ah,
sing in Chennai, Bangalore are here on till
you
Jan
permanent.
15th till Shankrant.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I'll explore. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Hmm. So, do you think that this is a very specific festival to one community?
Mm,
The Vaishnavite, the Iyengar communities also. So, but it still has resonance in Chennai, especially with everybody. So,
mm.
how does these kind of stories and these deities and these traditions, how do they transcend our identities as belonging to a certain community?
Okay, so I actually, to me, Margari was, I never saw Margari as, very specific to the Iyengar community, because I come from an Iyer background. And
Mm.
it was always beautifully, I mean, it was Narayana, it was Krishna,
Mm.
it was Vishnu. So, yes, of course, the Hindus celebrated it a lot. And I think I think
Mm.
in Indica I can tell this. It's not a problem. So I think the core values of Indian traditions has been taken and popularized by the Western as their core values. Like for
Mm.
example, when I do stories about Sankranti, or when I do stories about the what is the ideology behind Sankranti,
Mm.
I tell them that we are going to do Indian Thanksgiving, so children come and
Mm.
watch. So they come and say that Thanksgiving, they all know Thanksgiving. They all know what holiday is, Thanksgiving holidays. So when I ask them, do you know what Indian Thanksgiving is? So they're like, no, we don't have Thanksgiving in India. I said, yes, we do have Sankranti. So what do we do in Sankranti? We thank the nature. We thank this.
Mm.
So I think the stories that has been told to us actually resonates with everybody in general. Like for
Mm.
example, the whole idea of whatever festivals we celebrate in India, it just lies on the basis that victory of good over evil.
Mm.
Every single thing talks about the victory of good over evil, how adharma is destroyed and dharma prevails. So that is the
Mm.
basis of every single festival in India. Even when I was doing research about Villupattu, I found how
Mm.
beautifully it is connected to Bhagavad Gita. You know, Swami will come when there is adharma prevailing, yatha yatha hi dharmasya. So he just comes and he will make sure that there is a proper, I will make myself seen. I will do the healing for you. So I think that is what is more important when it
Mm,
comes to uh, focusing on the each specific festivals. So when it comes to Margari, I think it is more about how you surrender oneself to the Supreme. You know,
mm,
that is the underlying principle of Margari. That's what I see. Of course, it
mm,
became very popularized during the Bhakti movement. But how it is, how you just, "Needa எனக்கு எல்லாம். I leave it to you.
mm,
You take care." So I think that is what is the underlying principle of Margari itself, more than, calling it Narayana or be it Shiva or anybody else. The values that pertain to, all the festivals and all the beautiful things that is celebrated in India holds true and will hold true for many generations to come. I think that is what needs to be told out. So whenever I
I
work
like
with
it.
children, it is only that I,
Mm,
try to tell it out. I say that it applies to everybody. So you don't you need not do it only in Margari. You can do it even in Thai,
mm,
Masi, Panguni, whenever you want. You complete surrender. So this we observe as a discipline, as a
mm,
fasting, so that you train your mind and brain to get yourself into the discipline. And once you get into that, you will know how to follow it. So
mm,
it's all about, I think, Indic culture is all about disciplining oneself to move towards the path that will lead you to, moksha or happiness or uh, peace. And that's what I think it is. So to me, to answer your question, any stories that I tell children, that I work with adults or I work with corporate people, I try to bring in the essence of. I do a lot of mythology and folk stories, so I try to bring the essence of the true essence of this. So somebody had called me recently and they said that we want you to come and do Christmas stories for us. I said yes, I will do. I mean, as a storyteller, I do Christmas stories. They said you will have to Indianize Christmas stories and tell
mm,
us. So I just had a chuckle there and I said, all right,
mm,
let's see what we can do. So,
mm,
I mean, we keep Golu, right, Aparna?
mm.
We
Yeah.
do keep Golu. They keep Golu too.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that's what I see is I mean, it's like the aspect, the value that we have applies to uh, people across every culture, every religion, and it is universal because it is
Mm.
based on the concept of dharma. So I think that is what is beautiful, and that is what I try to tell through stories that has to be done.
Mm.
I hope I
In
answered your question.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. In the storytellers of the West who talk about mythic stories and stories from mythology, there was, one person who said there was a student who applied for a PhD, and he had given his thesis was that all stories can be plotted on a graph in terms of how they proceed and what is their outcome.
Yes.
What is
One second, Aparna. So somebody is at the door. Can you just give me
Sure.
1 second?
I'll
Can
pause
you
that.
please open?
Let me just reach. So the his thesis was that we can plot every story within a few this X and Y scale. One would be how the story goes on, and the other is the impact. What is the intention of the story? So, of course,
Mm,
his PhD thesis was rejected, but later he became a very famous story teller. So, do
mhm.
our stories also have a structure which can be easily, summarized? And do we have like kind of a plot that is frequently revisited, whatever the theme of the story? Like you said,
Mm.
good over
See,
evil.
right, right. So, to me, any story for that matter has, I mean, Indian stories especially, the theme, underlying theme remains the same to me. And the beauty of which I see as, like, at any point, you cannot say that this is what the story means. Like, for example, you take a Ramayana or a Mahabharata, and you say, you cannot, circle and say, this is what Ramayana says. No, Ramayana tells you different things at different point of time in your lives. So when I read Ramayana as a child, I was fascinated by Hanuman and then how he could, fly overseas and how he could just kill the demons, and he was my superhero. But today, when I'm reading Ramayana with this frame of mind, Ramayana gives me a complete different lesson. And I'm
Mm.
sure that when I'm going to be another 10 years from now, if I'm going to read Ramayana, it's going to tell me something else. So, according to me, the beauty of the Indian epics or Indian mythological stories is it talks to you in a way that your mind will understand at at what point of frame you are there at that point of time in your life. The answers comes to you accordingly. I think that is the most beauty of it. I mean, you cannot simply say that Ramayana talks about, yes, good over evil is there. Adharma and dharma is, it's always there. That is the base. But what you tweak in or what you tune into the story is completely different from the child that you were, or you look in as a. I mean, I see Ramayana differently if I'm reading Ramayana, thinking myself to be the sister. If I'm going to consider myself as the
Mm.
mother and I'm reading Ramayana, it gives me a different lesson. If I'm going
Mm.
to consider myself as a wife and I'm trying to read Ramayana, it's different. If I'm going to be a daughter and I'm reading Ramayana, it gives me a different value. So, according to me, I mean, you cannot just box anything into this is what the story is about, and this is how it is, this is how it has to be. I think the beauty of Indian mythology is also that it's very, it's like the river, it's very free
Mm.
flowing. It just goes. And if you go in the path of the story, you might find gems, treasures. So rather, you say that, no, this is the path. I'm not going to divert or diversify
Mm.
anywhere. Then it just takes away the essence of the story, at least according to me. I mean, I'm not generalizing this. This is personal opinion. Uh, this is what I feel. Whenever I read a story, that is what I look at. I mean, I don't say that, okay, Draupadi has to be this only. When you read about Draupadi, you find Draupadi as what a woman she is, and the beauty of strong women that we have in Indian mythology is absolutely amazing. So, according to me, it is very fluid. I would call it stories in Indian context are very fluid, and if you
Mm.
let them be, uh,
Mm.
let them take the path that they should, it gives you absolutely amazing discoveries.
Mhm. So how do you animate your stories? You're also a musician, so does music play a part in your storytelling techniques
Very
and?
much, very much. So, when I say musician, I mean, I don't perform on a regular basis, but I've definitely learned Carnatic music.
Mm.
And of course, with all very sad
Hmm.
face, I used to go to my classes and all that, but really thankful to my parents for having pushed me to, go, you need to know. So, music and Bharatnatyam, both were a very integral part of my growing up. Also, bhajans. So, Margari, where we do Veedi bhajans and all that. So, it was there. It is already installed and it is already in your system. So when I went to college, of course, everything took a
Hmm.
break. Focus became academics, and then I got married, and family happened, and this was there at the back somewhere. And whenever I see something, I used to probably sit and watch and see how nice. No, I used to go to dance class one day. All that happened, but once I shifted to becoming a storyteller, it helped me create a niche, Aparnaji, because
Hmm.
there are people tell stories in their different ways. So when I'm telling a story, if I'm talking about Hanuman flying across the ocean, I remember a song that I learned from my childhood,
Hmm.
or a shloka, or something that just comes to me without even thinking. So I'm able to
Hmm.
connect the two, and I will just sing like they were all very happy when Hanuman came back, and he gave the Sita Devi's Chudamani to Rama, and I automatically go into Prabhu Ramachandra ki Duta. So and people are like, huh, and everyone does that Rama, 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 Rama happens. I
Hmm.
mean, it just comes because it has
Yeah.
been there somewhere at the back. So music, yes, because it just electrifies your senses.
Mm,
When you're telling a story, of course, you become a very animated person. You talk with your
mm,
eyes open, you use your hands, gestures, and everything happens. But when I'm trying to tell a story, I mean, I say flowers. So I ask the
mm,
children, can you show flowers in your hand? Or there were these two parrots, and this parrot was talking to this parrot, and they were like, "Whoa, what is she doing?" So I don't carry puppets. I become the puppet.
mm,
So if somebody tells me that can you do storytelling, I'll say yes, I'll do puppet storytelling, but I will be the puppet. Are you okay with it?
mm,
And they'll be like, how is that possible? I say, you'll see. So I will, bringing in all this. If there is a deer, the deer becomes this, and the birds become this. Or when I'm singing, it is something. So if I try to perform stories in harikatha format.
mm,
So all this, it also helps me dive into the oral traditions of India. So
mm,
children nowadays, they don't even know what a harikatha looks like.
mm,
Earlier, when I was a child, we used to have it happening in the temples. So we used to go. I mean, I have not seen a complete overnight harikatha, but I've
mm,
definitely listened to some 6 to 8 or something like that. And I used to be mesmerized at how this artist comes on stage and just takes over you. It's
mm,
so beautiful. So to bring back all that traditions to the younger generations,
mm,
music and dance, it helps a lot. Villapattu also, for that matter, is a lot of music. It's interacting with music to the audience. Of course, the music is in the folk form, but still it is music. I mean, it's universal, right?
Could you tell us
So
more about the Will Patel? Where does it
yes.
originate from, and how old is it?
Yes. So, actually, speaking, when I was doing the paper for Villapata, I had an opportunity to interact with, the traditional artists of Villapata.
Mm,
So I spoke to Mrs. Subbu Armugam's daughter, Mrs.
mm,
Bharati Thirumagan, and she was one who was, I interacted with, and I was asking her. So when I
mm,
asked her, I'll tell what she told me. When I asked her, so where did this originate from? So
mm,
I wasn't able to find any written thing
mm,
of this is where it originated. She said, no, it is not there. It's been passed on orally to us. And I will tell you what my father told me.
mm,
And the story is a folk. Since it's a folk art form, the story also comes from a very folk background. There are two stories, by the way. One is this.
mm,
So it talks about how a king who went to hunting, uh, he enjoys hunting, and he sees, after his skill, all the animals are spread. And suddenly there is a thought in his mind, what have I done? If I am the king of this country and I've taken so much, life. So it goes like this. வாழும் உயிரை வாங்குதல் யாவருக்கும் சாத்தியமே ஆனால் வீழ்ந்த உயிரை எழுப்புதல் வேந்தன் நினைத்தாலும் ஆகாதுவே. It's so easy for everybody to take away a life. Even though I'm a king, will I be able to give life to it? So there is this revelation in him, and he's hurt. He wants to heal. So he's looking for how to heal, how to come out of this. And then the minister says, you sing your truth and you will heal.
mm,
So the story goes in a very humorical format. So
mm,
the king asks, I don't have musical instruments. How do I sing in this forest? So he says, okay, why do you think like that? You have your bow and arrow. The bow and arrow is what you use to kill. Use the same to sing your truth. And so he takes the bow, he takes the arrow, he hits the bow with the arrow, he creates rhythm, and he sings his
mm,
truth. He asks for forgiveness, and the people who are surrounding forgives him, and he heals. So it's like, there is music, there is how something that you used to create a sin, make a sin. You can use the same thing to also reverse back a sin. Beautiful it is. So that is a
mm,
folk form of that. But Subbu Armugamaya himself has told about a very mythological connect to the Villupattu. It is, I don't know how true it is. Again, I'm sure
mm,
this is one of the Ram Kathas from the
mm,
region. It's a folk
mm,
Ramayanam thingy. where Rama during the Kishkinda Kanda, they're all looking. It's raining, and the search for Sita is in a halt. So Rama is heartbroken. He does not sleep. Uh, Lakshmana is worried, and he's going out to all the Vanara Sena to help. And they say, "I don't know what to do. Please help. My Anna is not sleeping only." And so they call Hanuman. Hanuman comes and he's like, okay, what do I do now? So he sees the bow of Rama standing there. So he picks up the bow, he takes the arrow, he hits it, and he sings a lullaby for Rama. So in
Oh.
the lullaby, yeah. So Jimmy Jimmy Tan, Jimmy Jimmy Tan, Jimmy Jimmy Tan, Jimmy Jimmy. வாலாட்டும் குரங்கெல்லாம் தாலாட்ட தெரியாட்டியும் வில்லை தட்டி பாடிடுவோமே லாலி விடியும் நம்பு தூங்கிடு ராமா லாலி ஜிமி ஜிமி தான் ஜிமி ஜிமி தான் ஜிமி ஜிமி தான் ஜிமி ஜிமி. So it talks about you believe in us, wherever Sita is, we will find her and we will give it to you. You believe in us and you go to sleep. So Hanuman tells this, and Rama is reminded of the days when his mother will put him to sleep, and he slowly
Mm.
sleeps off. So it also talks about the power of lullabies. Lullaby is again another folk art form. So where it heals you, the mother, if you see, Indica only has done. I mean, some of them
Mm.
have presented papers in lullabies.
Mm.
So which is very beautiful. It talks about how a lullaby was used as a tool to tell the innermost fears, to tackle the innermost fears of a
Mm.
person, and it gives hope. So all
Mm.
these, so when I was exploring Villipattu, I saw how all these forms came together, music, be it lullaby, or be it how you heal yourself from something bad that you have created. And there is always a possibility for you to become a better person. I think that is what these folk art forms also try to tell us. Villipattu's origin story is about that. So
Mm.
it's beautiful. And when I was working for Indica, trying to find the research paper for Indica, I was like, what do I do? I mean, if I'm just going to write about Villipattu and what it does and the steps, it's usual. So when I had shared my first draft, Shivkumar sir said, Lavanya, I like when you said, killing instrument is becoming a healing instrument. Can you work on that? So then I'm like, okay, let me try that. And that became a treasure. And I'm hoping to do my PhD sometime in that.
Oh
Tathastu.
wow, that's
It
so
will happen.
beautiful. Actually, there is
Yeah.
a shrine, one of my favorite, most favorite Ramar shrines is this Valvil Ramar. I don't know if you've been, it's near Tanjore. The
Hmm.
icons were found hidden inside a river bed. I think to
Oh.
save it during the invaders. So there's the Vigrams are of Lakshmana, Sri Rama, and Sita. So the whole story which the Archakar said is that Lakshmana is frowning. His
Hmm.
expression is frowning because he's responsible for Sri Rama's next step, taking him safely
Hmm.
to the next step. Sri
Hmm.
Rama's expression is one of relief, saying, "Oops, this avatar is done done with."
Oh.
And Sita's is like not too happy, not sad, because she just can't believe that that trauma is over. So just one, three icons with different expressions, but tell reflect back on the entire story of the Ramayana. So
Hmm.
maybe you can
No, I've
visit that.
never been. Thank you for telling because I'm going to Tanjavur on 26th. And I was wondering, I have the entire morning. What am I going to do? I'm going for a show, but
Okay.
Bridishwara temple, though I've already seen, so I will go here. Thank you.
Yeah.
One
It's a
will
really
Rama, is it?
beautiful, yeah, Valvil Ramar.
One will Rama.
Yeah. I think there are
Lovely.
many Rama related shrines. I think there's
Yes.
one shrine where they said Jatayu had visited, had fallen
Mm,
nearby. I
mm,
think
mm.
multiple places claim multiple
Yes.
points in
Right.
our from our stories. But it's
Right.
still nice to see when icons speak, or when things inanimate things, when they are able to tell a story. It's really beautiful.
Absolutely. I think that is how they made Ramayana thrive also in the land, for the common people to see, and for everybody, accessible to everybody. So it is there. It's a part and parcel of everybody's life. So you cannot say Rama came here, Rama came here, Rama is North Indian, Rama is South Indian, all that is gone. So it's like Rama is there for everybody and everywhere. And like I was very intrigued when you said it showed the expressions of. This is the first time I'm hearing the icon. I mean, the idols having expressions, and each one has a
Hmm.
different expression. So it intrigues me. So I mean, you can connect to. That's what Ramayana is about, right? You connect to the character. It's you. Sometimes you are Rama, sometimes you're Lakshmana, sometimes you're Ravana.
True.
Who knows? So lovely. Thank you.
So how do you find inspirations for your stories to suit your audience? Like you have for corporates, you have for children. So how does the stories change when you narrate it to different audiences?
Right. So, like what I told you, I mean, I don't, of course, I ask them what they want me to talk about, and I try to see if I can find a story on that. But like I told you, most of my stories are based on either mythology or folklore, because both of it has got the uh, ability to resonate to people in that age. Like, for example, a Panchatantra was actually written for, not children. It was written
Yeah.
for adults, but it became a Panchatantra stories for children, right? So the same story, like the hare and the tortoise story, can be used for a pre-KG child classroom. It can also be used in a corporate setting. So when I say that I'm going to tell you the hare and the tortoise story, they're like, huh, okay.
Hmm.
So, but when we start exploring it, and the questions that emerge, it blows their mind away. They're like, oh, we never thought of it in this angle. So I think that is what I do. So I ask them, what do you want me to talk about? If they say women centric stories for Women's Day, and I say, okay, I'll get you women centric stories, and it'll be something that they have already heard. They'll be like, ah.
Hmm.
The first reaction is, oh, we know this story already. So yeah, you know the story already. Like for example, a thirsty crow, for that matter. So I was called to do uh, called to work with people with differently abled people. So they said that we are going to have a differently abled people coming in, parents and children. So we would like you to do stories of resilience, and there are a lot of problems that they do. So one is people with osteogenesis, bone
Hmm.
problems, and the other was type 1 diabetic children. So they have very frequently, problems in their life. Like smallest thing becomes huge. Sugar shoot up, and it's an everyday
Hmm.
struggle for them. So I said, okay, I'm going to tell you all a story. And I said, Thirsty Crow. They said, Thirsty Crow story, we know. So, but I said, what does this Thirsty Crow story tell you? So when they think back, they know that every problem has a solution. you know it's so beautifully told through one tale which we've
Yeah.
been hearing for so many years, but we never would have explored it in this angle. So the stories that I pick are mostly simple. uh, Sometimes, yes, I do bring in a little more complicated, depending upon the audience that I work with. But the simpler the stories, I see the profound the lesson. No, I wouldn't even call it a lesson or a moral. Um the profound, the what you get out of it, each one takes it differently. That.
Like today, in my part class, the teacher was talking about a lot of our stories are about the goddess or Devi, and she was quoting the Saundarya Lahari, and she said the Devi does not need the Abhayam Mudra because
Mm,
her feet, we are blessed through her feet. We just need to fall at her feet, and the blessings come from the feet. That there is a
mm,
shloka in the Saundarya Lahari which explicitly says this. So I thought that was quite
mm,
fascinating because we're so focused on our hands. Every description of the goddess is about how many hands, what astras are there, what does she hold in her hand. And here
mm.
there's a shloka which says, it's the feet. Look at the feet. That's where the blessing is coming from. So I mean,
It also
look,
humbles you, right? I mean, to just,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
you don't have
So
to. I mean, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you.
it's our stories are so different, and the sources are so many. I think there's so many ways through which to tell, and so many things to tell, so many perspectives. So much of tweaking that we ourselves need to do on finding the right focus.
Right, right, right.
So,
I
but
mean,
thank you.
that's beautiful. Whatever you shared now, because again, in Indian, whatever we are, the stories about Narada or anybody that we learn, there is a point in life where you talk about being humble, how you need to stay grounded. Put your uh, namaskaram for that matter. We start our day with namaskarams to the deity. So why do you put
Mhm.
your head on the ground? uh, I've seen not many people would want to. I've had friends in my college who had argued that I won't. Why should I bow in front of anybody? I don't want to take. I mean, I'm myself. I'm superior. But if they understand the actual tatparya behind what namaskaram is, why we have to. So I think, like what you said, look at the feet.
Hmm. Yeah, even
And
a musician was saying, a musician who learned under Annapurna Devi, who was very, quiet and lived a very elusive life, kept to herself. And so when I asked the student, what did Annapurna Devi look like? He said, how should I know? I never looked up and to meet her eye. We slowly looked down. So we never used to look at the guru in the eye. That was how the guru's status was somebody to whom you did not meet eye to eye. So how things change, and
right.
this is not very long ago, this is just maybe 25, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
that's what we see from Ramayana also. Lakshmana says, I don't
hmm.
know. I know what my Sita was wearing in her legs. I know I can identify the anklets, but I can't identify if it is her jewels because I've never looked her up.
Hmm. Yeah.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
So thank you so much, Ravanya. It was lovely chatting. I'm sure. I hope I
Thank
get a
you.
chance to hear and attend one of your storytelling sessions.
Definitely sometime, sometime. Definitely. I would love to. So thank you. Thanks to Indica for, believing in my work. I think you guys have always supported. I mean, when I just send something, and it's like when you know that the person truly believes in the work that they do. Indica has always been supportive. So thank you for that. And I please continue doing what you're doing. It's amazing
Uh,
and
Thank you. And
grateful.
do let us know in other ways in which we can collaborate, and whether you can offer
Definitely.
courses, and we can discuss that.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Aparnaji.
Thank you
Thank you so
so
much for
much.
your time. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaste.